How long did it take you to make this movie?
Well, I wrote it 8 years ago. I had a good first draft of this movie 8 years ago, and I started shooting in 2004. Had a little bit of a false start. It's an independent film, so things happen. And I shot the last scene in 2006. So it took 8 years, basically.
8 years.
8
That's
years.
a labor of love. And did anybody want it? I mean, it's one thing to shoot a movie.
Right.
It's another thing to have someone distribute your movie. Want your movie.
Right. Well, here's the thing. We premiered at the Tribeca Film Festival in 2006, and it was enormously successful. Far more successful than I ever thought it could be. You know, I had no idea. But then we couldn't get a distributor because of the Asian American element in the story. You know, I spoke to a couple of big distributors, and they said, you know, we really think you know how to write. And in fact, I took meetings because of the movie, but they said we can't pick it up because we don't think that there's an audience. So I thought, well, what do I do now? Do I have to distribute the movie too? And I guess the answer was yes.
Pretty much.
Yes. I mean, it's a good thing I had some business background, you know, that I have a degree in business. But so what I did was I had to start thinking outside of the box, not give up, because it is a labor of love, but I also have investors that I feel responsible to. They've been so supportive of me. So I managed to get the movie into a couple of theaters, and now it's starting to spread.
I hear tell. But is was it because you were Asian American, do you think? Because one, as I recall reading the bump, one distributor said, couldn't you write the part for J-Lo?
Yes.
Hispanic.
Yes, that's true. That was prior to making the movie.
Or maybe Halle Berry. But
you know, I'm sure that if Halle Berry was in this movie, somebody would have picked up the movie. What happened was, prior to making the movie, because my screenplay placed in a couple of big competitions in the U.S., producers and agents were interested in the script. And one particular producer called me and said, we really love the script, we're interested in buying it, but could you change one thing? And I said, okay, well, yeah, if you're going to buy my script, probably yes. And he said, could you change the lead character from an Asian American woman to a Hispanic woman for someone like J-Lo? And I thought, you know, there are thousands of writers in LA every second of the day writing for J-Lo. I'm sure of it. Yes. And I don't think that I should be the one
to do that. Yeah. And the whole point, well, of course, the male lead is establishment. He's an entity in his own right. Right. Gail Harold. Harold, yes.
Gail Harold.
Gail Harold.
Yes, and he loves Canada. He lived in Toronto for 5 years. He did a show called Queer as Folk. He was the lead on that show.
Exactly.
So, yes,
gorgeous.
He is gorgeous. He is. In fact, when he was being considered for the part of Andrew, one of my thoughts was that he might be too gorgeous for me, because I knew that I was going to play the lead, and I that was my insecurity. Just
not again.
Yes, and I thought, you know what? He's too handsome. That was my worry.
He is very handsome. And someone asked you, some reporter asked you, I thought it was a titch rude, is he a good kisser?
Yes.
Because there's more to the story, more to this fall for grace. He does fall for grace, and there's some glitches, and there's some humor, and there's a deep message, because you have an establishment society guy with a huge conscience.
Yes, yes, and you know, I wanted to really let that out also, you know, because I also feel like there are a lot of people that are in high society that have a conscience, that do help.
And are philanthropic and all of that.
And JFK Jr. was very much like that. And I thought that since he inspired the plot, it would be interesting to weave that in.
Sure, but my sense is he had a mother, Jacqueline.
Yes.
He wouldn't have been all that happy if he brought home the wrong girl. Perhaps.
Perhaps.
We don't know, but
we don't
perhaps.
know. Right.
No. What's next for you?
Well,
after this? It's in the theaters, right? It's going to. We can see it at Tinseltown.
Yes, at Tinseltown. It opens November 16th, next Friday, and I will be there to do Q&As, so that's always very fun for both myself as well as for the audience. So yeah, please come out and support the movie.
Exactly. Well, because it's one above the tired culture of romantic. It really is. It's just a great film.
Thank you so much.
It's really good. And I love the, I don't know if it's, we don't have time to talk about this necessarily, but the product placement, like the donut scene and the Coke scene, the Coca-Cola scene.
Right.
Does Coca-Cola pay you to put Coca-Cola in the movie, or how does that work?
Well, you know, Coca-Cola gave us free Coke while we were shooting, but I really think they should give me some money for marketing.
I do too.
Because everybody talks about it.
We're looking at B-roll now.
Yes.
But he was the cab driver who gave you the mini lesson on opera.
Yes,
because
he
you
did.
had to, like, you know, get up for your snazzy party.
Right, and the reason I wrote this part of the cab driver is because I've had so many conversations with cab drivers in New York City that are people that you would never even believe are cab drivers. You know, they're so educated. There was a medical doctor once who was driving me around in a cab in New York City. So I wanted to also bring that out, that sometimes people aren't the way they seem, you know.
Exactly, that's the whole point, is it not? What a pleasure.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Fay Ann Lee, and you can see Falling for Grace Friday, November 16th.
November 16th.
Okay, at Tinseltown.